loose stages there, but on the tarmac of the BIF Circuit of Ireland, even Llewellyn would admit the advantage had gone.
Obviously the Cartel gravel surface suits us on the four-wheel drive. Over here it's bumpy, fast tarmac, and the route has changed a fair bit from last year. The tarmac stages are a lot faster, so that will provide good ground for the Cosworths and their extra power. So it'll be quite difficult, and we've had a few problems trying to sort the suspension on the car. We are on European spec tarmac settings, and it was terrible on the bumps. So we've actually gone back to forestry settings, which are a little bit soft, but I think it'll be better than what we had before. So, you know, as I say, we've got a little bit to learn yet, and it's difficult to know how competitive we're going to be.
For Vauxhall Dealer Sport, Malcolm Wilson had a brand new Astra GTE, but leading the much-fancied Cosworths, 6 times winner Jimmy McRae.
Oh, well, hopefully it would be nice to make it 7, but the rally, if it stays dry, you know, the Cosworth will be in with a fair chance. I think it's pretty much a Cosworth country.
Last year,
very bumpy in places.
I was going to say, last year it was criticised for being too bumpy and too nudgery. Is it any better this year?
Oh yes, there's a big improvement from last year. The roads are a bit wider and there are narrow stages and bumpy stages, but in general the roads are better.
Now, is this going to give you an advantage as it's tarmac over David in the four-wheel drive?
Well, I hope so.
For instance,
we've got to try and get the better of Toyota in this event.
3, 2, 1, and the 1989 BIF Circuit of Ireland Rally is...
From Dunadry, just outside Belfast, Jimmy McRae gets the event started. The first of the 3 days will be spent heading south to Dunleary. 10 stages en route, forming the first part of the 200 miles of asphalt stages to come. And very fast stages indeed. David Llewellyn was hoping for damp or wet conditions so that the Toyota's four-wheel drive could claw back at least some of the Ford Sierra Cosworth's advantage. Driver's eye view with Phil Short, the co-driver.
Long crest, 200.
For Llewellyn, though, it was comparatively dry stages to start with, and with a misfire adding to the problems, Llewellyn was losing about 2 seconds a mile to the Fords. The clear master of front-wheel drive, Malcolm Wilson, sending the sparks flying in the Vauxhall Astra GTE. Group N is the standard showroom class, but it attracts top drivers these days, notably Pentti Ricola, who we join in his Mitsubishi Galant, Ronan McNamee, on the pace notes.
Middle crest 1, suddenly crest 1, 200, right side crest 1, into left 3.
Pentti's main opposition in Group N would be another McRae, Colin McRae. The Peugeot Challenge, though, was once again based on a 3-car team, Håkan Eriksson the team leader in a 309 GTI. Local hope Austin McHale suffering a little from fading brakes in the early stages. Nothing fading, though, about Russell Brooks, who was right among the pace setters, twice a winner of the Circuit of Ireland, the first time fully 11 years ago. Brooks with the pace that was being set by McRae and also by his teammate Mark Lovell. This is Lovell, the Irish tarmac champion, also in a Mike Little prepared Ford Sierra Cosworth. Leo Shaw should have been in touch as well, but he was delayed when he broke a gear lever on one of the early stages. The reigning Group N champion Gwyndaf Evans now getting used to the quicker pace and heightened drama of Group A. And the other half of the Vauxhall Dealer Sport entry, Louise Aitken-Walker, in her second championship event for the team. The leaders at the end of the opening Easter Saturday stages, Russell Brooks, co-driven on this occasion by Peter Diekman. By the end of the day, he'd have just a 10-second lead over Jimmy McRae, having provided his share of entertainment on the spectator stages. Only a few seconds has separated Brooks and McRae all day, famous rivals in the championship, and especially here on the Circuit of Ireland.
This is it. Jimmy McRae, car number 1, blasting his way down to 6th. the brakes. No drama. Wee touch of the handbrake, I think, there.
Conditions now wet, but the Ford Sierra Cosworths were still in command. Gwyndaf Evans in third, 9 seconds back from McRae. Evans, like everyone else, had occasionally been caught out by tyre selection problems as a result of the rapidly changing road conditions, but he'd be happy with his first day position. Not so happy Mark Lovell, fourth, but a distant fourth, after dropping 2 minutes with a clutch problem.
The track is slippery, as if he doesn't know already.
Lovell over 2.5 minutes behind the leader Brooks. But let's pick up the fortunes of David Llewellyn and Phil Short in the Toyota, at this point lying fifth.
3 right. 30, 4 left tightens narrows. 100. Open left into 2 right tightens narrows, 70. 1 left, 130. Caution, 2 left tightens, 2 right into 4 left narrows.
Narrow, twisting Irish lanes that provide classic rallying country that Llewellyn and Short, remember, because of pre-event problems, are in a car that's set up for the Yorkshire forests, not the switchback roads of Ireland.
30, crest 50, caution, keep right over crest, 2 left narrows. 50. 5 left, into 2 right tightens, gravel, 3 left. 1 right, 100. Caution, bump, 3 right tightens, into 1 left. 150. Crest, 3 left tightens, narrows, wet.
It's Dave Llewellyn, who Circuit of Ireland winner in 1986, and a very exciting bit.
Llewellyn really throwing the car through the spectator stages, but even with four-wheel drive, throwing the car through the tight, wet tarmac is a different prospect, as Llewellyn is about to painfully discover.
2 right, 130. Square, 5 right, 30. Square, 5 left.
It's much safer with Penty Auricola and Ronan McNamee, who are coming up right behind.
Right 8 into Llewellyn's off. Left 8. They look all right. They're both out. 110 junction.
Well, we went into a field basically, and my luck wasn't with us. There was a 4-foot ditch the other side of the hedge. Otherwise, we just sort of popped over the hedge into the field and out. But there was a 4-foot ditch, and we nose-dived into the ditch. And as you can see, it was a bit wet in there.
How did you go off in the first place? What caused it?
It's a little bit of water, and the car just aquaplaned going into a 90 right, and just lost that 10 yards of braking, which I needed, of course, and just went over the hedge.
So how did you get it back on in the end then?
We managed to persuade a friendly farmer with his tractor to come down, and we struggled for about 10 minutes, you know, about 30, 40 people, but it was right nose in, and we managed to persuade his farmer to come down and give us a tow out with the tractor.
Not the first to have been caught out by these conditions. Spectator stages like Lurgan Park present much less of a problem. This is Malcolm Wilson about to exit the event. Sad sight, because Wilson had clearly been the fastest of the front-wheel drive runners, but the suspension has been damaged, the rear wishbone bent. There's no time to fix the damage. Wilson is out of the event, and really, he can only blame himself.
Driver error, really. Lurgan Park stage, very spectator stage, and we have it in notes as an easy left corner, and it was actually on some like paving stones, and they just lost the rear end of the car, and unfortunately there was some concrete bollards on the outside, and the rear wheel hit one of those. We managed to get out of the stage. We didn't lose much time, but obviously there was no service after the stage, and we sort of run out of time trying to do temporary repairs, really. The car's fine, the car's running again fine now that we've had service, but it's just one of those unfortunate things.
But at Dundalk service area, end of the first leg, here's a happier man, rally leader Russell Brooks.
So, looking a bit hot.
Yes, it's been very hard work on the stages. They've been very, very slippy indeed and very difficult going.
But you're in the lead?
I believe we've got about a 10-second lead over Jimmy, so reasonably happy with that at this point of the rally.
Day 2, Easter Sunday, 8 stages starting and finishing in Dunleary. Conditions now consistently wet, and Russell Brooks was finding it hard to add to his lead. Indeed, as the rain persisted and tyre choice became critical, McRae guessed right and clawed back the 10-second deficit on just one stage. Gwyndaf Evans was losing ground on Brooks and McRae, and now coming under pressure from Mark Lovell, who was anxious to move up from 4th place. Here's Lovell starting the day almost a minute and a half behind Evans. He got 15 seconds back when Evans punctured on the 5th stage of the day, but up ahead it was still Brooks and McRae swapping fastest times. With Llewellyn crashing out, Austin McHale had taken 5th place the previous day and held on to the position comfortably. One BMW in the field, behind the wheel, the popular and experienced Irishman, Bertie Fisher. He was 6th. And this is the other McRae, Jimmy's son Colin, now leading Group N and maybe setting things up for a unique family double, as long as he keeps on the road. Louise Aitken-Walker now had the task of upholding the Vauxhall Dealer Sport effort to place the Astra GTE as the leading front-wheel drive car. But she was facing stern opposition from her old team Peugeot. Hakan Eriksson was only about 15 seconds behind as they contested 8th and 9th. Things equally tight in Group N as Pentti Ricola and Ronan McNamee continued the pursuit of Colin McRae. The Mitsubishi Galanta heavy car for the wet roads, and despite the weather, the Easter Sunday crowds were as big as ever for what is one of Ireland's most famous motorsport events.
Suddenly crest, left 2, and junction left 6 minus, hairpin. Slippery. 300, right side, jump 1. Right side, jump 1.
End of the second day, all the fastest times were shared between Brooks and McRae, but it's McRae in front, only by 30 seconds though. It was developing into one of the classic battles between the two men who have dominated the British Championship over the last decade. Everything that Brooks tried, McRae was able to counter, especially in the area of tyre choice. Third place now, ahead of Evans, was Lovell, but he was still a very distant 2.5 minutes behind his teammate in second. Here's Evans in 4th. Disastrous tyre choices had left him without a hope of challenging Lovell again. The gap from 3rd to 4th over a minute, Lovell having been a minute and a quarter behind at the start of the day. Then another 3-minute gap before Colin McRae, who was turning in a stirring drive to remain in front in Group N. Remember, the cars in Group N have ordinary road-going performance and showroom specification. After McRae, Group A runners Bertie Fisher and here Austin McHale pirouetting in 7th. Then the front-wheel drive battle, Louise Aitken-Walker still ahead of Hakan Eriksson. The battle would be ended though when Eriksson was penalised for illegal servicing. Pentti Ricola's prospects in Group N seemed to be receding, but he wasn't going to give up even Group N honours without trying everything. The sort of exhibition of car control that's worth seeing from the co-driver's point of view.
Mirage. Whoops. Well held. Okay. 100. right 3.
So, end of day 2, it's McRae leading Brooks, and Russell's great frustration has been tyres.
Yes, we made a disastrous choice of tyres across the middle 3 stages today. We went on a compound harder than we should have done, but then we're learning, you know, we haven't tested all these tyres yet. But we lost 27 seconds in 3 stages, and that's roughly where we are now, 26 seconds behind Jimmy.
McRae possibly heading for win number 7 on the circuit. Problems can still arise, though.
Problem there, Jimmy?
No, there's a rattle from the back. It's just like a loose rose joint. There's something needing tightened up. So.
Not one of those rattles that you hear when you're in the lead, is it?
Yeah, well, it might be that as well. I don't know. Yeah, they'll be giving it a thorough check anyway. But there's like a loose ball joint or something.
Been a good day for you today?
It's been very good, yes. I think the weather has suited us today.
Is that what you put it down to then, to catching Russell up?
Well, I think that's been a bit brave on some stages.
The final loop of stages south of Dunleary in the famous rallying country of the Wicklow Mountains. The stage is now dry and McRae concentrating fiercely to keep Brooks at bay. But even so, Russell was taking time off the Scotsman. He was reckoned to have covered the second stage of the day at an average speed of 101 miles an hour. But there were only 4 stages scheduled and McRae would hang on, while Mark Lovell was comfortably placed in 3rd. Fourth, the consistent Gwyndaf Evans, which will give him 3rd place in the championship. Fifth, a minute and a half behind Evans, was Austin McHale. Then came Bertie Fisher's BMW, the leading non-Ford. Louise Aiken-Walker's Astra GTE, the leading front-wheel drive car. And then Colin McRae, and with his father poised to start the celebrations in Dunleary, it looked as if it would be a double McRae celebration. Colin leading Group N. But it would be wrong to disregard the attacking spirit of Pentti Auricula in the stuttering Mitsubishi Galant. It's the last stage of the day. They've got a puncture, but good news for Auricula is just around the corner.
Puncture. We've still 7 miles to go on this stage. Right 7. Oh, Colin's off.
Ronan McNamee contains his excitement at the sight of poor Colin McRae stranded in the ditch. Auricula now leads Group N. They've still got to complete the stage with a puncture, but they started almost a minute ahead of the next Group N contestant, and Auricula is equal to the challenge.
Right 1 opens little over crest. 200.
Completing the top 10, Steve Hill's Group N Sierra would take 9th. Leading Peugeot was the 205 of Simon Davison in 10th place, first in class by 12 minutes. By contrast, Hakan Eriksson here serviced with a jack borrowed from another car. A mistake made in haste, but it carried a 10-minute penalty. David Llewellyn, by the way, kept going after his first day excursion, more for practice than anything else. One of his ambitions for the season is victory on the Welsh, and that's the next round. Jimmy McRae has celebrated like this before, but usually in Belfast or Waterford.